It's time to talk Jets football on the Our Football Network for the OFN today. This is Jets FM. I'm Greg DePalma, and we did a Jets recap at midnight following the miraculous win. Jan Levine was with me, and we really hadn't planned on doing it. Not sure, maybe I shouldn't have done it because I was, if you watch that video, and we'll have a link in the description, I was not in my usual mood that you would presume after a huge win like that, even though it wasn't usual. As we all know, the emotions were just nuts. I took it kind of good looking back at the video, and I think that was because of the fact that it is what it is. But I'm getting old, and I've been watching Jet football games for almost 50 years, and I wasn't a part of the Super Bowl win. So there's been a lot of losing. There's been some good wins. There's been some close calls. But for the most part, especially lately, Jets fans have had a lot to be disappointed about. As a sports fan in general, I had a lot to be disappointed about a couple of times in my life. Once when when Major League Baseball decided to strike and shut down the season, the best team in baseball that year was my team, the Montreal Expos. They were on their way to their first, big playoff run, and that was potentially a championship team. And when the season got back underway the following year, they dismantled. They were never the same. It took me, I don't even know how long it was, 20 years, I guess, with a lot of losing again, become the Washington Nationals until they finally won a world championship just a couple years ago. And then what happens after they win the world championship? Instead of getting the opportunity to celebrate like you want to as a championship team, COVID hits. And the pandemic also, coincidentally, shut down the opportunity for me as a Rutgers basketball fan to see that basketball team finally get to the big dance. And it was something that I had dreamed about for a long time, and he ripped it right out of my heart. And that was the second time that as a fan I've had my heart ripped. And it was worse than the Montreal Expos, believe it or not, even though that's just a college basketball team compared to a pro team, because of the fact that it just felt like it was like a strike. It doesn't normally happen, yes, and you don't get a season taken away. That just doesn't happen. But that's still something that just is always kind of talked about. It's something, you never know. But a pandemic shutting down sports in this country and everything else that took place after the pandemic, things that we never thought could be possible in this country, that was something that I just couldn't handle. And that was something that really hurt, because that came from nowhere. That was like, wait, what? That was like living somewhere that never experiences an earthquake and then having your home gutted by an earthquake. And then you wake up the next day and you go, well, wait a second, how did that happen? How did I just lose my home? How did I lose everything from an earthquake? That's not supposed to happen. I know what's I know what I'm supposed to do to make sure, as far as to protect myself from bad things, but that's not one of them. And that's exactly what happened with the pandemic. And it hurt bad. And I know there's a lot of people who hurt for a lot of other reasons and a lot more important reasons. But sports is my life. And when that happened, it was a signal to me and a remembrance from the strike that I can't control these things. And because I can't control them, I'm going to have to protect myself. And that's exactly what happened with Aaron Rodgers on Monday night. I had said a few times after he signed with the Jets, you might recall if you've been watching the videos here on this channel, I said, you know what's going to happen? I just feel it. I feel there's going to be we're gonna end up like in a war, or I forget what else I said. I just said something else. Aliens are going to arrive, or I forget what I said. I said a bunch of crazy stuff. You watch, something's going to happen. Sort of like the pandemic. Something's going to happen. There's no way Aaron Rodgers is playing for the New York Jets this season. There's just no way. I can't believe that's going to happen. Something's going to happen. So I was already protecting myself, and that didn't go away. Never went away. Not that I was like, oh, I hope he doesn't get hurt. Sure, I wasn't thinking that way. I did not. But as soon as it happened, I was prepared. Let's just put it that way. And to tell you the truth, I think a lot of Jet fans were. Not like, again, thinking it was going to happen, that he was going to get hurt, a la Vinny Testaverde. No. But just that, because I've said this many times, and I'm not one of them. We all know there's a lot of Jet fans out there that have a lot of, I know they have a lot of pain and all that stuff. And I'm not talking about the bozos like Mike Greenberg, or even what's his name on FAN. By the way, I wonder if that if Benigno, I wonder if he's heading back to retirement now that Rodgers is out for the year. I thought that was always kind of comical. Didn't I hear Joe Benigno had retired? Oh, now he's well, he came back. Is that what I hear? Or he's back in the news? Why? Because Aaron Rodgers gets signed and now he's gonna present himself? True fan. Yeah, true fan. Anyway, there's a lot of fans like that though, who have legitimate issues with the way that they feel that something's always going to happen, same old Jets, so forth and so on. And those people, I feel, also took it better than most. Okay, now, I don't want to be that person, no. I'd rather be the way I look at things, optimistically. But protect yourself. And now that it's been a few days, nothing has changed. I think it's interesting listening and hearing all the different talk and media, so many things, so many different angles about Zach Wilson and the Jets. This is just like the Jets, and seeing the line or hearing about the line in the Dallas game too was a shocker for me. I was producing Mark Lawrence's show on Playbook Experts on Wednesday. And Jim Feist, I think he was the one. Legendary handicapper Jim Feist was on. He's on every week. And I believe he was the one that brought it up. Or it could have been Andy Isco because he was talking about line changes. Could have been Victor. Somebody brought it up. And it was the first time I heard it because I wasn't looking at lines. It was only Wednesday, and I wasn't really paying too much attention to the Jet-Dallas line because when the NFL contest came out, we have this contest with the experts, this expert contest with Mark Lawrence and Playbook, and the line came out, I think it was 3.5 or something. So I saw that line, and that's it. That was in my head, 3.5. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it changed. I didn't. So I was doing the show and they brought it up. And I was stunned, absolutely stunned to hear that line had gone all the way up 6 points. And I think there were a lot of people out there, including some of the people who were doing the show, that were, I think, that understood it and thought that was okay. Matter of fact, I even thought that there were some people I not only heard on that show, but on other shows that are really not giving the Jets a chance at all. And they're looking at the Jets like last year's team because Zach Wilson's back. That's how they're taking this. that this is last year's team because this is Zach Wilson again. Nothing's changed. And we all know what happened last year. We all know that even though Zach played his worst football after Breece Hall went down and Vera Tucker after the Denver game, we know he didn't have a great year even before that. He was okay. He was developing. Don't forget the Pittsburgh game when it needed to come down and score a touchdown and win that game late. They did it. Zach made a big throw in that game inside the red zone, and they scored a touchdown late and sealed the game. And that was the kind of mood that we kind of felt was, okay, he's still learning and growing, and this is going to take time. But hey, you know what? We're off to a good start. This is going well. As soon as the injury happened, everything fell apart. And it happened coincidentally with the New England game. Because, look, there are coaches and there are teams that even great players have issues with. Even great players, you could look at the stats of the all-time greats, and there's always going to be a team that they have problems with. Now, I am not calling Zach Wilson an all-time great, of course. But there is only one team we know that if we needed Zach, let's say we were forced to start Zach on a fantasy week for whatever reason, we were just forced to start him. There would be one team that we would not want to see Zach play, and that would be New England. Zach just, for whatever reason, throw in the fact that, and it's a good one, good reason, Bill Belichick is still an awesome coach, especially on defense, and he knows how, especially young quarterbacks, that's a fact. He knows how to beat these kids. He knows how to get in their heads. And the timing was really bad for Zach because they played the Patriots. It was one of his worst games. They lost the game because they had nothing going on offense. He had no confidence in that game. And that was it. Sal had seen enough. He goes to Mike White, and everything changed. Because Zach did not get a chance to go up against a bad Chicago Bear defense and gain his confidence again. That was taken away. Mike White came in. And then Mike White's first game against a bad Bears team, big surprise, he has a good game. And then, you know what happened? We all know what happened. And you could check out the shows we did last year. Because it was just ridiculous, but maybe predictable about how everybody jumped on the Mike White bandwagon. Just utterly predictable, especially for New York. And then as soon as Zach had the meltdown, as soon as that happened, and he had the one bad misstep that he's had. He has never had a bad misstep in front of the camera before. He had it, and as soon as he had it, and everybody basically said, all of a sudden, everything changed. And Zach was a spoiled, rich kid. And it was all about Zach, and everybody just dug him a grave and said, it's over, and started to pile on Mike White. This is the Mike White. We're jumping on the Mike White bandwagon. And then what got over-exaggerated was the Mike White T-shirts in the locker room. Sort of like, oh, well, by doing that, they were doing it to rub it into Zach. Of course they weren't. They were just doing it because they were young kids. They were feeling good about it, and they were getting pumped for Mike White. Not realizing, and we said it at the time, dumb move. Absolutely dumb move. You don't do that. But, and part of why you don't do it is because what happens is the media, the fans, they start coming up with their own ideas about why it happened. And that's what eventually happened, is that everybody thought, well, Zach kind of screwed his teammates in a press conference, Mike White T-shirts, they don't like Zach anymore. He's no good. He's trash. He's done. And Mike White's our savior. And I said repeatedly that Mike White would never, be the savior here. That he wasn't even going to be here next year. He was not going to stand in the way of Zach Wilson's progress with this organization. When most fans and media thought that before it was all over, before people started to realize that, yeah, I guess this Mike White thing isn't going to work out after all. Why? Because Mike White is a quality backup, and that's all he is. And what do quality backups do? Quality backups have good spurts. That's what you're supposed to do. They come in, they play a good game or two, but they're backups. That's why they're number 2, because eventually they're not going to play well. And eventually, especially Mike, they're going to get hurt. And that's the problem with Mike. He gets hurt too much. You can say what you want about, hey, yeah, but he's good. I don't know how many times they would say, oh, what a gutsy performance by Mike White. He took a pounding and he keep coming back and all this and the other thing. It doesn't matter. The fact is, if you can't, it doesn't matter. The fact is, you have to stay healthy. And if you can't stay healthy and you can't play quality football all the time, well, that's a bad mix. That makes you a number 2 quarterback. So we went through it just relentlessly last year. And I did what I could and told my viewers, this is a perfect time to remember who's saying what while we're saying what we're saying. And I know that there are a lot of people who have viewed the channel, at least just last year, that are here because of that or part of that, because they trust what I say, they trust what I said, and I was right. Okay? Just did not give Mike White a contract and bring him back as a distraction and say, hey, we're going to have a Mike White, Zach Wilson, number 2 competition behind Aaron Rodgers. No. Go ahead, Mike. You go. You leave. Go to Miami. Go wherever you're going to go. That's fine. And what did that say? Remember, that happened, and there was still this talk about the Jets signing Derek Carr, and Aaron Rodgers was like this pipe dream still. Even the Joe Douglas, kind of like a pipe dream. Why do you think they were trying real hard to get Carr in here? That was just proof. Okay, so all this stuff, the smoke and noise about Mike White, nonsense. About how nobody likes Zach Wilson, nonsense. How many times did I say it? How many different videos did I have on it? So we enter this year. We enter what's going to be big this week. The whole idea of this video is everything that has taken place since the Aaron Rodgers injury, since the performance by Zach on Monday night, and how that is going to affect the team this week and the rest of the season. Of course, we had to get through all the different backup quarterback nonsense about not just backups, I should say, about, well, who should we go out there as a veteran and get? The Tom Brady ridiculousness, Carson Wentz nonsense, Matt Ryan. I mean, just the fact that anybody with a straight face, not a fan, but a member of the media would get on and say, well, the Jets should look at these guys or bring these guys in. Matter of fact, I was watching Gino and Boomer and Gio on Monday after the game, Tuesday after the game, and Gio is talking about Tim Boyle. It's like, here we go again. Now it's Tim Boyle. Now we got to talk about Tim Boyle as the new Mike White. Because if Tim Boyle plays for the New York Jets this year, it ain't going to be pretty. All right? It ain't. Because Mike White is better than Tim Boyle. Okay? So it ain't going to be pretty. Now, maybe Tim can stay healthy, because that'll help. But the fact is, I'm just going to say this also, because this is important. I am not predicting, I didn't predict then, I am not predicting Zach Wilson is going to come out and be some superstar. Never have said that. It was never about that when I defended him last year. There's a big difference between defending Zach for what had happened and defending him against Mike White, as opposed to getting behind him and saying that he's going to be some great quarterback. And I have this blind faith that Zach Wilson is going to be a superstar. Big difference. I'm coming from the perspective of, like I always have, of believing and following Joe Douglas, especially, and Robert Saleh, but Joe Douglas, what he thinks and believes. And I've said that all along. I've said it since pretty much the day he got here. Now, it has taken a lot of fans and a lot of media a couple of years, and maybe even until, 6 months ago, to start getting behind Joe Douglas completely. They needed that validation of last year's draft class, AFC, Offense Defensive Rookie of the Year. That was the validation for a lot of fans and a lot of media on Joe Douglas. There were people writing, beat writers covering the New York Jets, writing articles asking Woody Johnson, "Oh, please, Woody, don't get impatient with Joe Douglas and Saleh. Try to stay the course if you can." Like if that was ever a consideration. But the fact that they would bring it up shows you that, yeah, they were defending them, but, and again, it was in the context of, hey, there might be something here, so don't, I hope you don't get rid of these guys. Just the fact that you would even think that Woody Johnson would, that even would be under any consideration whatsoever, shows you that you did not 100% believe that the Douglas-Saleh combo is the answer, the 100% answer for turning this program around, and Woody knows it. And I have known it. And I've known it for years. So that's why when we talk about Zach and whether or not Zach is going to end up finally now given a chance with a quality coaching staff and a healthy offense, that let's see what he can do. If they believe it, I believe it. And that now, I'm still going to be scared. That's the one thing I'm going to be scared about, is I'm going to turn the TV on Sunday, and I am going to be frightened to death about Zach Wilson throwing the football, like I think a lot of Jet fans. I'm not going to sit there, relax, and go, hey, watch Zach. Watch him. Watch how good he's going to be. That is not going to be me. So don't think it will. It's not. I'm going to be like you guys. Now, I'm not going to be like the ones who are pretty much on the verge of almost like rooting for him to not play well. Because there are a lot of Jet fans, I know for a fact, maybe even half, that don't even like Zach anymore. That don't even want him around. That have absolutely no faith in him whatsoever. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was more than half. So that's a different group. But I do know that there is a group of Jet fans, and again, I'm not sure if it's half, maybe it is, that feel like I do. Not sure if he's going to be the guy, not sure if he has what it takes, but he deserves a shot. And not just he deserves a chance, he's our teammate, I mean, he's a part of our team and all that stuff. No, but hey, they actually are smart enough to know what has taken place since Zach's been here. I think anybody who disregards what he went through, the fact that he did not play 4 years in college, okay? So when I hear people, like a matter of fact, I think it was Gio comparing him to Brock Purdy. This is what I think is, see, this is the reason why when I see guys like Anthony Richardson, who could be a real good quarterback in time, shouldn't be thrown out there immediately. I just don't think it's the right thing. That's just my philosophy. I think if you haven't played 4 years of college, or at least started 3 or 4 years of college, I don't think you should be playing right away, unless you are a superstar, unless you have superstar in you, like can't miss kind of stuff. But just take a look recently of the guys who have produced. And Brock Purdy is a perfect example. He had, did he start all 4 years at Iowa State? I believe he did. Tons of experience there. goes from that experience to an organization that has been around for several years, in place, same coaching staff, offensive head coach, okay, who is considered one of the better offensive head coaches or one of the better minds, offensive minds in the league, run first type team, very good defense, winning culture. All of that made it that much easier for Brock Purdy to step in, along with all the experience he had, and play the way that he did. Now, to try to compare him to Zach, completely, ridiculously unfair. And to put Zach down because of what he's been through he's had his chance. Oh, this is his third chance. How is that the case when the Jets, and I've said this before, now you want to blame Saleh? You want to blame Douglas? Fine, okay? They weren't perfect. They made mistakes. Now I blame Saleh for this because it's a coach. Saleh is going to be the ones in charge of bringing the coaches in. He brought in his little friend. He brought in his best man at the wedding, his little brother. And that little nepotism kind of thing that goes on in the NFL. And hey, you're going to come with us, and come on, I'm going to give you. This is your chance. This is my chance to be a head coach. This is your chance to be a first-time, I'm the man offensive coordinator. And you did that. Don't forget, they were smart enough to understand at the time that they needed to bring in a veteran offensive coach, someone with tons of experience as an assistant coach, or somebody that understood the offense, someone understood quarterbacks, someone that had an excellent resume, and they did that. And then what happened before the season? The first season began. The first offseason began with the opportunity to teach Zach Wilson what happened to Greg Knapp. Passed away. And when he passed away, the Jets made a big mistake. Robert Saleh made a huge mistake. He didn't replace him. He didn't replace him the first year, and he didn't replace him the second year. Let's also remember, Zach had situations because of injury both years that stunted his growth potential. So there were months of practice reps that he missed in his first and second year because of some injuries. Take out the veteran coach out of the mix. You have an inexperienced offensive coach. You have a young quarterback who doesn't have a lot of experience in college football. You throw him into an organization that has had years of losing. And by the way, the head coach is also a rookie head coach. What did you think was going to happen? And remember the team the first year? Remember by the end of the season when the injuries occurred? Remember who Zach's number one wide receiver was in those last 4 or 5 games? That he actually played well. He started to play well. Remember, he wasn't turning the ball over by the end of that first season. Do you remember who that was? Braxton Berrios. That was his number one wideout. That's how bad the skill position was for the New York Jets, for Zach as a rookie. So then you flipped to year 2. Oh, this is going to be better. Zach year 2. This is when quarterbacks take off. Well, what happened? He gets injured in the preseason game. Boom. He's out. Now he's out for preseason. He's out for several games. All of that time missed. Where's the Greg Knapp, by the way? No, there isn't one. It's still LaFleur. Yeah, I guess he got a year of experience, so I guess he knows what he's doing now. So he knows everything now. So yeah, that should work. And remember, Zach played well towards the end of the season, so we don't need to bring anyone else in. Oh, we can bring in Rob Calabrese, who's in his 30s, I believe. Yeah, that'll work. That's exactly what Zach needs. That's the guy that's going to change everything for Zach and make him a superstar. Anyway, what happens when Zach gets in? Teams winning a few games. What did I say about the Pittsburgh game? Great job. All of a sudden, everything's going well. Team gets off to a pretty decent start. Then the injuries occur. Then the skill position guys go down. Then the best offensive lineman goes down. And now Zach has no experienced coordinator, a coordinator that's in over his head. He has an offensive line that's not very good. And that's another issue that everybody's talking about this week, is that the Jets have some sort of terrible offensive line. Because why? Because the media was saying that they were really bad. Why? Because when you looked at it and you heard the people who were talking about the Jets' offensive line during scrimmages and the preseason, especially the scrimmages, oh, they're getting beat up. They look really bad. What was going on during those scrimmages? Well, Max Mitchell was playing left tackle, and so-and-so was playing this spot, and so-and-so was there, but Becton was still kind of coming along. He was on a pitch count. There was no Dwayne Brown. And it was a battle at center. They're trying to determine whether a rookie was going to get the playing time. By the way, the rookie was playing guard also in a lot of these scrimmages, a position that he hadn't played in years. And so I'm supposed to believe that because of that when the season begins, they were going to have a bad offensive line. The problem is when Dwayne Brown came back, Becton started to play well and got the job because he earned it. And when everything started to come together and the line was ready to go, what happened? The fourth play of the game, we get the injury. And I know I've kind of gone off course here, but we'll return. But this is the perfect time for me to kind of bring this up too, and that's with what happened with Aaron Rodgers today. And this was the interview, because I read this in The Athletic, and I can't bring that up, but I'm going to read what was said in The Athletic. In the days and weeks leading up to the season, Rodgers had expressed his distaste for plays involving offensive linemen cut blocking at the line of scrimmage. Multiple team sources said, because it forces multiple team sources. I always love that. And by the way, those were the same team sources, I believe, that last year said all those team sources said about Zach. It was all those team sources that just destroyed Zach's reputation. That basically people believed, and which is the reason why everybody thought, oh, I mean, there's no way Zach Wilson's coming back. And what happened? Well, Zach Wilson's back, and he's with the team, and he's actually starting on Sunday. So how did those team sources, how did they go? How did they look and hear? How did they sound last year? Probably like these guys. So multiple team sources said because it forces Rodgers to get rid of the ball quickly rather than improvise, which he likes to do. The sources were granted anonymity because they are not authorized to discuss team matters publicly. This is the team sources. There's no chance to extend the play because the defensive lineman will get up quickly after the cut block. Actually, this is an assistant NFL coach from another team who was also granted anonymity to talk freely about the Jets' play call. If you cut, you've got to throw it quick or get rid of the ball. And then it goes on, and basically, not just this article, but what was being said was Aaron Rodgers, man, he didn't want to, that's not what he wanted to do. He didn't even want to run that play. And because he didn't want to run that play, it wasn't what he wanted to do. There's a mix-up in communication with the coordinator. He wasn't happy about it, and then he gets hurt for the year. Man, that's just dysfunction. So, what did Aaron Rodgers say in the Pat McAfee interview? Let's find out. Talk to us.
I mean, if a guy can cut, that was always the thing with Dave, because Dave didn't really like cutting. He wasn't great at it, but no, I like cutting. I like cutting at the tackle.
Okay, so
did you hear that? I like cutting. He didn't just go, well, and then talk for about a couple minutes and then come back around and make it sound like, well, yeah, I guess he's okay with it. No, I like cutting. Even Dave Bakhtiari had talked a little bit about, and they quoted him in that article, and they quoted him, and you heard him in maybe in other interviews about how But keep in mind when if you read between the lines, what Bakhtiari was saying was, and Rodgers even said it in the interview, it was Rodgers getting on Bakhtiari because Bakhtiari wasn't good at it. So from Bakhtiari's point of view, Rodgers is giving him the business about cut blocking, but it's not because Rodgers doesn't like it. It's because he doesn't like the way Bakhtiari does it. Now, I'm not saying Bakhtiari did anything wrong. I'm just saying that the media then just twists the words, or they want to kind of come to their own conclusion of what is being said here. Throw in the fact that, remember, the Jets' offensive line isn't very good. They're bad. And that's why Aaron Rodgers is out for the year. One of the reporters, and I heard it said a few times, and he's not wrong. Now, he said Garrett Wilson looked open. Now, I don't know whether or not he was open or not. But the point is that if you want to blame anybody, you don't blame the offensive line. You blame Aaron Rodgers. Do you think Tom Brady, see, this has always been the people want to talk about Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he is. But the reason why Tom Brady is the best ever, and Aaron is somewhere in the top 5, maybe he is. But the reason Tom Brady's the best ever, he would never have put himself in that position. If he didn't throw the ball, if he, for whatever reason, thought that was not going to be the play, that there's the cut block, I'm not going to throw the ball there, what does Tom Brady do? He basically just chucks the ball on the ground. And he goes, all right, let's get back to the huddle. I've seen him do it thousands of times. But Aaron Rodgers decided, for whatever reason, I don't like that play now, even though that's where the play is designed. I'm going to make a play with my legs, even though I'm not 25 or 26 anymore. And it got him in trouble. And the whole idea at his age is not, you have to be smart enough to know at this age, I can't be doing that. I have to just live for the next play. This isn't about the 4th play of the season. This is about winning a Super Bowl. This is about at least getting into the postseason, having a successful season. And Aaron, say what you want, a lot going on, a lot of distractions, a lot of positive distractions. I don't know what he was thinking. Bad play. And Aaron is hurt because Aaron put himself in that position. And nothing to do with the Jets' offensive line. So I got into the offensive line because I was talking about how bad they were last year, on top of everything else that was going on with what really hurt the opportunity for Zach to get better. And what also happened was Coach was in, another year, and he was just sick of it. He was sick of how the offense was playing. And the old adage, you can't fire the coach, or you can't fire the general manager, or you can't fire the owner. You gotta, well, you can, but you know what I'm saying? It's just much easier to do. Let's sit the quarterback and bring another guy in, because I'm not going to fire the offensive coordinator when he's my buddy at this point in the season. I'm just not going to do it. And where am I going to go anyway? To Rob Calabrese? So I've got to do something to change things. Okay? This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to sit Zach down because things are just spinning too much for him now. And it's not fair for him. And that's what was going through Coach Salah's mind and Joe Douglas at the time. That they were not saying that they didn't believe still in him. Why do you think he's still on the team, and why do you think he's going to play on Sunday? It's that because a lot of people, matter of fact, I even remember the writers last year talked about show me an example of when a young quarterback, a high draft pick, and they get in a situation and they're benched. Give me an example of when they come back after that and actually succeed, or actually even get another chance. That was their kind of reasoning. And they were not seeing the fact that, yeah, okay, whatever, maybe there's some good stats to back that up. But the fact is that Douglas and Saleh were realizing that they just thought that was the best thing. It was not fair to the rest of the team to just keep throwing Zach out there when his confidence was completely shot. And when the coordinator was not instilling that offense or that confidence in him, it just didn't make any sense to keep going that direction. Because what did happen, and we said this was going to happen too, towards the end of last season when we were talking about, and I was telling you that Zach was going to be back, that there was no way Zach was going to be back, and so was LaFleur. That if they did get rid of Zach, well, okay, I guess they did, and I'm wrong. But if Zach's coming back, LaFleur ain't. And that they're going to remember, they're going to learn their lesson. And that's exactly what they did. They learned their lesson. But again, they didn't cut the cord there. They were just hoping, okay, maybe Mike White can resurrect, and maybe we could just sneak into the postseason and give these guys some postseason experience, and then, again, we'll figure things out later. But it fell apart. LaFleur was no miracle worker with Mike White either, and Mike White was no miracle worker because he's a number 2 quarterback at best. And then it was, okay, we haven't changed our feeling about Zach. We needed to sit him down. We need to get him going again and reboot. That's what Coach said repeatedly in the press conferences heading into the offseason. And then they do what they're supposed to do, what we all hoped that they would do, and that's bring in a veteran. They got lucky with Aaron Rodgers, or at least we had thought. And when it happened, and I said this right away, and I said the whole reason when there was a talk about Carr or Rodgers, even though Rodgers wasn't really thought of as a real shot. I mean, I just laughed at what are we talking about here? Now, there might be a lot of people out there that are going, you see, you were wrong. You should have had Carr. Look what happens. That's what happens when you get a 39-year-old quarterback. But the reason, and because the story still needs to be played out, but the reason I wanted it was not just because we all know Aaron Rodgers is better than Carr, or else I know that. Everybody knows it. Come on. Even if he was healthy, we all know he's better, even at 39. But because it was going to develop Zach. And it was a perfect marriage. The Jets knew it. They all knew it. Douglas knew it. Saleh knew it. They all knew that this was perfect because they still believed in Zach. Matter of fact, they went out and got Hackett. And I'm sure they got Hackett with 2 reasons. One, they got him because he was the best coordinator on the market. And they needed someone with winning experience in developing quarterbacks. Not that he was Knapp's age with that type of experience, but he was the best thing out there. And hey, bonus, maybe we get Aaron Rodgers because we got Hackett. And if we don't, well, Hackett's going to be a good guy to mentor Rodgers. And they still had the connection, of course, with the Packers and so forth, and LaFleur, and they all had that connection. And I know it wasn't exact, but there was a connection. And when it happened, it all made sense. It all made sense to everybody because they talked about it. Zach's going to be able to learn from Aaron Rodgers, his idol. And then it took place. And then we heard all the stories about how Zach is just diving in head first, soaking everything in like a sponge, everything possible that he can get from Aaron Rodgers. And then all of a sudden, all you hear now is about how Zach Wilson, you just heard it today with Nathaniel Hackett, how confident Zach is. Confidence was exactly what he did not have when the season ended basically last year. No confidence. Now he's got it. Great. Got the confidence. But remember, this was not supposed to happen this quick. Media ain't going to care. Fans that already hated him ain't going to care. If he goes out there, and look, I'll tell you right now, and I'll admit it. First, if he goes out there and plays like he did last year, I'm going to tell you right away. And I'm going to say, yeah, you know what? This is just all talk. You know, he was able to, he got some momentum going, but it's just, it didn't really get anywhere. Everybody was fooling themselves. And I'll say that and admit that. But I have confidence enough because they have confidence that even if he doesn't have a great game, but shows that there's still something in him compared to what we saw last year. Because we'll see it. Because if they lose and he doesn't play well, we'll see what happens the following week and the following week. Because he's going to get a little bit of time unless he just completely implodes right away. But we're going to find out, I think, this week. And that's why I believe this week is the biggest game of the season for this team. I truly believe it. Not about, hey, every week's the biggest game of the season. None of that nonsense. But this is the biggest game of the season. And the reason this is the biggest game of the season is because, and there's several factors. If Zach doesn't play well, and if Zach looks like the quarterback from last year, and I'm talking about the bad Zach, then basically, you know what's going to happen. No matter what they do about getting whoever they get within the next few weeks to bring in, and Tim Boyle plays or whoever, it's going to be a lost season. A completely lost season. Because this is the AF freaking C. And we are not getting into the postseason in the AFC if we don't get even just average quarterback play. And if they have to go through some bad Zach moments and then up and down bad Tim Boyle moments before they bring anybody else in to try to be the savior, whoever that's going to be isn't all going to be that great. It's going to be a terrible season. It's going to be a wasted season. It's going to be another, maybe at best, 8-win season, 7-win season. That's all it's going to be. What if Zach actually plays well on Sunday? They lose, but he plays well. Well, I think that's going to be great, because I think what that's going to tell us is that, yeah, we went up against a very good football team on the road, short work week, after all the distractions and everything, and you know what? It wasn't all that bad. You know what? I think we might have a pretty decent season. But there'll be a lot of positive things to think about if that were to be the case. Now, number 3. They go out there, they win the football game, and Zach plays well. I'm not talking about superstar. I'm just talking about he plays well. 2 touchdowns, pick. 2 touchdowns, no pick. 1 touchdown, no pick. Quarterback rating is solid. That kind of thing. If that were to happen, if he plays well enough, they beat the Cowboys in Dallas and go 2-0 to start the season, this team is going to have a fantastic season. This is going to be a season for us to remember. And it's going to be because of what happens on Sunday. When I saw that line go to 9.5, I'm just telling you, I can just imagine what is going on behind that locker room with Coach Saleh and how he's using that to his advantage. Now, he may not just come out there and talk about the line, but I'm sure it was going to be just somehow implied. 3.5, 9.5. That's what they believe. And you know what? That line hasn't come down. That's what Vegas thinks about you. That's what the fans think about you, because they're not putting money on you. I haven't heard anybody say anything differently. Nobody now believes in you anymore. They think your season's done. They think it's over. They think you're going to get beat up on Sunday because the Giants lost 40-0. They think something similar is probably going to happen. And that's why the line shot up to 9.5. And I am telling you right now, the only thing that is going to stop the Jets from winning this game on Sunday is Zach being a bad quarterback. If Zach is a bad quarterback and Zach has more interceptions than touchdowns, and it's the same old Zach, yeah, we'll lose the game, of course. Yeah. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be pretty. But I feel very confident that as long as Zach just plays okay, that we're going to win this game. Screw the 9.5 points. This is I understand it from outside point of view. They don't follow our team. I have followed this team for 50 years. I know everything about this team. Now, do I know what goes on behind the locker room? And of course I don't. But I have the feel for this team. I always have. That doesn't mean I'm always 100% right in predicting the games. I'm just talking about I have a feel. I know when this team has a good team or not. I know what the difference is between a good team and a playoff team and a not playoff team, a bad team and a good team. I know that. And I'm telling you right now, what you saw on Monday night with the way that they came back, and I didn't need Nathaniel Hackett to tell me how that locker room was at halftime. That's what I expect from those guys. All of those character guys that Joe Douglas has brought in through the draft and free agency. That's why you do it. For moments like that. Okay? And that kind of confidence, whether Zach has it, great. He has it, awesome. But when the players and the team has it, when they all and now all of a sudden that confidence turns into a win to start the season, and we are 1-0. Yeah, it's only one game, right? But what it meant to that group preparing for the season, having Aaron Rodgers taken away from them, you know what kind of guts and character it takes to be put in that position? How many people, including me, thought the Jets were going to win that football game after halftime, after they were down 2 scores? Nobody. We were all feeling like, hey, this is, especially when Zach threw that first interception. All right, I'm just going to watch the game and I'm going to do what I always do. I'm just going to watch it and deal with it. And when they came back to win the game, I mean, first of all, they came back and they gave up the field goal. Yeah, the impression, again, was, you got to be kidding me. You know, we played this hard, we came back, we did all this, and they're going to find some way to lose this now? But they didn't, because it's different. And that's what you have to do, and that's how you write a story. I'm not talking about a Super Bowl story. I'm talking about just the story of a team and a season. That's how you define it. You define it by these types of really close games and how you're able to pull them out. And in one game, they've been able to prove, and by the way, they've been able to prove since Robert Saleh's been here, that when they're down a couple of scores, they can come back and win. Even late in games, they can come back and win. May not happen all the time, but there are some young football players on this team that have been able to figure out ways to do that and follow that and understand that we're just going to keep playing, and maybe we find a way. And they did. And they didn't just do that because it was a fluke game or they were playing some weak team. They did it because now they're a better team. Now they're more experienced. Now they're just a team. I mean, this is something that's been built for 3 years now, and it's coming together. It's coming to a point where even though they've been robbed of the Hall of Fame quarterback that's going to throw 40, 50 touchdown passes and lead the Jets to the playoffs and maybe a Super Bowl, even though it's been taken away from them, they did not bury themselves in the sand and say, woe is me. They said, hey, all right, if we've got to figure out a way to do this, we're going to do it. And there's still a lot of talent, a lot of freaking talent on that team, a lot of talent, especially on defense. And all the talk about the offense this week, everybody's forgetting the defense. And everybody's thinking about, well, that Cowboy defense and Parsons and going up against Zach Wilson. Oh, that spread's going up because that's going to be terror for the Jets offense. And, man, they're not going to be able to do anything. Well, you're just forgetting about one thing, the Jets defense. And this isn't about Josh Allen. That's the other thing. Hearing about, oh, Josh Allen, he doesn't have it anymore. He didn't play well at the end of last season. And Brian Daboll's not there anymore. So, yeah, Josh Allen's not the same guy anymore. What I said at the beginning of the show about matchups. Josh Allen, this is a bad matchup for him. Okay? It just is. He doesn't play well against the Jets. Okay? So that's disrespectful. Is saying, oh, Josh Allen doesn't have it anymore. He's forcing things. Oh, it's not. It's Josh Allen. All right. I guess we'll find out. Because, look, anything can happen. But I have the utmost confidence and expectation, and I'll be upset if I'm wrong or if I'm disappointed. or let down. That this Jet defense is different. I'm not talking about, Reed going out there and saying that, oh, we could be like the Bears 86 defense. That's just, pipe down. Okay. Coach was right. Pipe down. Go out there and do it first. Then you can talk. And after one game, they have done it. But they just have to keep doing it now more than ever because they don't have that superstar quarterback. Now the defense is going to have to come up and they're going to have to rattle Dak Prescott and they're going to have to make it difficult on him and they're going to have to make Dak Prescott look like Josh Allen did on Monday night. And that's what I'm going to expect, truly. I slammed this defense last year, as you know, because I said it from the midseason point on, but everybody talking about the Jets defense, and while they were having all sorts of problems on offense, and even though the defense was playing really well, I kept saying it week in, and week out. This is just, you can't be considered a top defense if you don't get the ball. You have to create turnovers. And it just drove me nuts, and you could watch those videos. I was ripping them apart last year for the lack of turnovers. They delivered on Monday night. I expect this is going to be what we're going to see the rest of the season. This isn't Josh Allen threw the game away. This is a very good Jet defense that is about to come after everybody, including Dak Prescott. And again, if Zach Wilson just plays a decent game and makes a few plays and doesn't throw the game away, the Jets are winning on Sunday. And when you do that, we'll be here to talk about it in the post-game show. So anyway, that was a lot longer than I had hoped it was going to be, but I always get carried away when it comes to the Jets. We will talk more on Sunday, hopefully. I can't promise that we'll be here for the post-game show on Sunday, but that's the plan. By the way, if you are a Rutgers fan, I have the post-game show for Rutgers football on the Rutgers football channel. So, again, that's the Rutgers football channel, and it's right after the game, usually within a few minutes after the game, we go live. So we have live coverage of Rutgers post-game against Virginia Tech on the Rutgers football channel. I'll be here. I don't think it'll be live, but I'll be here one way or another for the post-game show. Who knows? Maybe I will do it live. Again, the whole idea is to do it with Jan, but we'll see. We'll see what happens on Sunday. I can't promise anything, but I'm going to hope to be here right after the game to talk about the Jets. And I'm also, as I've said countless times, that we are going to talk about this team a lot more like we always have. We've been talking Jets football on this channel and on the Arledge Football Network for years, but even more so, even if it's just 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, starting to catch up now. It's really busy, as you can tell from looking at all the videos and everything that's going on. And I also have we talked about Mark Lawrence and the Playbook Express channel, so I produce those videos and I produce for that channel. So, and they got the Rutgers post-game show for Rutgers football channel. So there's just a lot going on, but I'm starting to catch up. And now that I'm getting caught up a little, I'll have more time to do the kind of things I want to be able to do. And that's especially talk Jets football when I believe, again, just come on, Zach, just come on. Oh, by the way, and then, that's also important to note is that I don't want to hear about all of this off the field. Well, Zach's got confidence and Zach this and Zach that, and he's prepared for this and this and that. I don't want to hear that either. I don't. Just go out and prove it to me. Just do it. Okay. You don't have to be perfect. Don't be perfect. Don't try to be perfect. Make mistakes. You make some mistakes, then come back like you did in that game. You throw an interception, come back and throw a touchdown pass. Okay. Just do it. All right, because I'm going to be just as mad, if not just even more mad, if I start seeing Zach play poorly based on what they're saying. Because, again, I'm trusting them. And I'm expecting it. So just don't throw the game away, Zach. And if you don't throw that game away on Sunday, we will beat the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll see how it all works out. And, again, hopefully I'll have Jan hook up with me on Sunday. And then I think that's it. besides going on the Rutgers, I think for the entire weekend. That's we got two post game shows. We got the Rutgers post game on the Rutgers football channel. We got the Jet post game coming up here. Again, hopefully right after the game on Sunday night. And then I do not see anything on the calendar until Tuesday at this point in time, which is really good because that gives me, again, more time to catch up with everything. So thanks for staying in this long. Also, really appreciate if you like the video, not only to subscribe and share, but you got the thanks icon on the screen. So, I appreciate all the donations and anything that you guys can throw our way or throw my way, because it's trickle down theory. I mean, the more I can wind up bringing in revenue wise, the more quality production comes here on this channel, and I'm able to spread the wealth to what I believe is just a really underrated group of analysts that you're going to find anywhere outside of the big boys, the big networks. So I hope you appreciate the time I spent. Please let me know what you think as well. I will reply to your comments. I always do. Keep them kind of civil, but I'm willing to go head to head if I have to. I just don't want to. I hope everybody out there is confident and gonna, have that kind of confident feeling on Sunday, and more importantly, the good vibes. We need all the good vibes we can get on Sunday because, like I said, I think it's the biggest game of the year. Because if the Jets win the game on Sunday and Zach Wilson plays well, we're going to have ourselves not only a tremendous season, okay, but it might be the beginning of Zach Wilson developing into our long-term starting quarterback.